This is Super Yacht News with Sisman.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so there is a legal battle brewing in Antigua over the super yacht Alfa Nero. Now, lawyers representing a person who has claimed the ownership of the yacht have filed an appeal against a decision from last month in the Antiguan High Court to stop the sale of the $81 million super yacht. The winning bidder, Eric Schmidt, is reported to have said that he's not going to pay for the yacht until the legal issues have been resolved. Now, this is despite the Antiguan government making numerous attempts to contact the owner, and the yacht was left unattended, at least in terms of paying for bills, owed $500,000 in unpaid fuel bills and unpaid crew bills in Falmouth Harbour. Now, since the block property designation was lifted by the US, the daughter of Andrei Guryev, who the US believes is the actual owner of the yacht, is claiming she in fact owns it. Now, the best way to look at this is we'll go back and look at the timeline of events. So in February 2022, the yacht arrives in Antigua. On August the 2nd, 2022, Andrei Grigorievich Guryev is placed on the US sanctions list, and his yacht is added as blocked property, which means it can't be moved out of Antigua. The crew on board say they've received no pay for a year. Now, I'm a bit skeptical about that, because who can afford to work for a year, receive no pay, and continue to work on a vessel, right? I mean, think about it. Could you afford to pay all of your bills for a year with no pay? So I'm a bit skeptical about that. And also, we know from former crew of Alfa Nero and Luminosity, which we also believe is owned by Andrei Guryev, and that's managed by a management company, Opus Private. They've made some payments over the last year to crew to stop them from leaving. Now, also in August of 2022, US federal agents, along with local law enforcement, searched the yacht in an attempt to determine the ownership. November 2022, Alfa Nero loses her flag state of the Cayman Islands, according to the IMO database, so she's now got no flag state, so she can't leave. That's another reason why she can't leave Antigua. Okay, so we fast forward now to February 28, 2023. The government of Antigua announced that they would seize the yacht as it had become a danger to shipping, as the yacht was in the marina with only 5 crew left on board, effectively abandoned, as they said. They placed adverts in the local and international media stating their intentions to seize the yacht in 10 days unless the owner came forward. So 10 days later, nobody came forward. So March 28, 2023, lawyers representing Andrei Guryev tell Bloomberg that Mr. Guryev does not own Alfa Nero, and they gave the following statement. Andrei Guryev neither owns nor controls Alfa Nero and has simply used the vessel from time to time under commercial charter since 2014. We also contacted the same lawyers of Alfa Nero and Luminosity, and they said the same thing to us effectively, that he does not own the yacht. April 11th, 2023, the Antigua government seizes the yacht. The yacht's then reflagged to the Antigua flag a few days later, and the Antigua government start to lobby the US, who has the vessel on block property, to remove the yacht from that list in order to allow them to sell the vessel, because they can't sell it while it's on the block property list. Now, the US government initially says to Antigua that they will issue licenses to allow pre-vetted buyers to bid in an auction. But on the 1st of June 2023, they removed the vessel from block property altogether, something I'm sure they're regretting right now. Now, at the time, the Antiguan government said this was in order to allow them to have an unrestricted sale. So, 16th of June 2023, the Antigua government auctions the yacht, and the winning bid was $67.6 million by Eric Schmidt, the former Google CEO. Now, on the same day, and remember the sanctions have been lifted, on the same day, Yulia Guryev Motlokov came forward as the owner, filed in the High Court of Antigua an injunction to block the sale. The High Court promptly dismisses that injunction. On the 11th of July, so that's this week, an Antiguan lawyer representing Ms. Motlokov files an appeal in the High Court of Antigua against the earlier decision to dismiss. the ownership of a yacht is not a simple thing. It's not like you have a pink slip, you know, like you have in the US, or a V5, we call it in the UK, which is for your car, to say that you're the owner of the car. It's much more complicated than that. Now, the Alfa Nero is owned officially by a company called the Flying Dutchman Limited, which is a British Virgin Islands company. Now, this company is in turn owned by a trust, which is based in Guernsey, and the yacht, meanwhile, was registered in the Cayman Islands, right? So this using multiple countries, it makes it very difficult for any kind of legal investigations or anything like that to take place, because they've got to go to multiple jurisdictions. And it also can be used as a way to mask the true owner of a yacht. Now, in this case, the trust owns 100% of the shares in the company that owns Alfa Nero. Now, the trust, which is operated by trustees, they have a list. The trust has a list of beneficiaries, which is not open to the public, so we don't know who's on that list or who was on that list, who's been removed from the list. But what we can do is we can take an example that happened last year to explain how these things can be changed. Now, in March 2022, Andrei Melnichenko, who's the owner of Motor Yacht A and Sailing Yacht A, he faced sanctions, as Andrei Gergiev has. Now, he owned two companies, a coal producer called Suec AO and a fertilizer group, Eurochem Group AG. Now, according to reporting from Reuters, until March the 8th, 2022, Melnichenko owned those two companies through a chain of trusts and corporations stretching from Moscow and the Swiss town of Zug to Cyprus and Bermuda, according to legal filings reviewed by Reuters. Since 2006, Melnichenko's wife was second in line behind her husband on the list of beneficial owners of the two companies in the trust documents. So they have a trust which owns the two companies, and on that list of beneficiaries is Andrei Melnichenko and his wife. Now, this was reported by people who spoke to Reuters on a condition of anonymity, because they're not allowed to speak publicly about the couple's assets. Now, on the 8th of March 2022, the day before Andrei Melnichenko was sanctioned, he notifies the trustees of his retirement as a beneficiary. So he simply removes his name from the trust, which means that now those two companies are owned by his wife. Now, Yulia Gergieva Motlakov is the sole beneficiary of the Guernsey-based trust that is 100% shareholder of the British Virgin Islands-based firm Flying Dutchman Limited, which officially owns Alfa Nero. So let's say Mr. Gergiev has done the same thing, removing his name from the list. That means that the ownership would effectively go to the next person on the list, as in the case of Mr. Melnichenko. So if she's the owner, why only now come forward? Well, this is a question that we asked to a legal representative of Mrs. Motlakov in the UK. We asked the questions, why did Mr. Gergiev, her father, who has been denying ownership for the past year, not say, well, actually, it's my daughter's yacht, right? So he's asked directly, do you own this yacht? And he says, no, I do not own the yacht, I've just chartered it. Now, at that point, why would he not say, I chartered it from my daughter? So this is the second question we asked the lawyer representing the daughter of Andrei Gergiev. We said that the government of Antigua placed various adverts in international press, asking for the owner to identify themselves, not to mention all the press. The story was given by us and the mainstream media, and yet she didn't come forward. And then now that the sanctions have been lifted, your client is claiming the yacht. Why was there no attempt in the previous times to claim the yacht? We received no reply from her lawyer, her UK-based lawyer. This is not the same lawyer who's filing stuff in Antigua right now, of course. That's an Antiguan-based lawyer. So one possible answer here of why the claim is coming up now is because the yacht is no longer on the blocked property list in the US. Okay, so what happened to Mrs. Melnichenko after she became the owner of the two companies and her husband was sanctioned? Well, she was added to the sanctions list along with him because it appeared clear it was an attempt to circumvent those sanctions. Now, if by some miracle Mr. Gergiev's daughter wins the appeal in Antigua, it seems likely the same fate might await her based on the precedent that we've just talked about with Mr. Melnichenko. Either way, it's unlikely that the US will allow the yacht to leave Antigua under her ownership. Okay, so a couple of other things about the yacht. AIS has been switched off on the yacht, it would seem. It has not broadcast its location in 2 weeks. Its last known location was Falmouth Harbour in Antigua. And we have no reason to believe that that has changed, but they have turned off the AIS for the first time in the whole year. It's been switched on and now it's been turned off. Not quite sure why. It's not illegal to switch off your AIS when you're moored. It's only a requirement when you're at sea and at anchor. But it is not common practice to switch it off. And in a previous video also, we said that the flag state, which had switched to Antigua after the purchase, had reverted to the Cayman Islands. But according to the IMO database, the yacht is still flagged with Antigua and Barbuda. Now, sometimes the IMO database is a bit slow to catch up. So it's possible that there has been a further change to that flag state. But as of now, the IMO database says that it is still Antigua and Barbuda. It could be that the change on the AIS on board was a mistake. So time will tell if it is updated on the IMO database. But as of now, it's still under Antigua. So make sure to stay tuned for further updates on this story. It could go on for quite some time. And in the meantime, the government of Antigua, they're still paying $112,000 to $120,000 US a month for the upkeep of the yacht. One last thing before I go, be sure to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/eSysman. You get to find behind the scenes videos not published on YouTube, including the Patreon chat series and the Atlantic vlog series. You get early access to features advert free, and you'll get to ask questions for Patreon only Q&As, and you'll get to watch Patreon only Q&As on there of course as well. And we recently published one a little while ago. And also be sure to check out our SuperYacht News channel. It has all the goodness of this channel, but chopped up into small, usually 3-minute videos. So if you're in a hurry and you can't watch a full video here, be sure to check out there, and link is in the description. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. If you've got any information about any of these stories or any other stories, please be sure to get in touch the normal fashion. You can get us on the About page of the YouTube channel. You can get us on Instagram, on Facebook Messenger, on Twitter, and on Threema. Be sure to like this video, very important for the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for future notifications. All right, guys, thanks very much, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.